Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Howdy, this is red-olaughlin. We're on the Corner Bookstore on the USA Global TV and Radio Network today. Today I'm honored to have Tricia Copeland on as our featured guest. And Tricia is a young adult fantasy writer, a new adult romance writer, and we're going to delve into her here in just a brief moment. Before I start that, I just wanted to say, okay, I knew I wanted to say something. What was it? It's gone. Doesn't matter. Let's go to Tricia. Tricia, please join me.
Hi, Red. Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. Sometimes I have something right there and I have a brain fog or something. Okay, I don't know what it is. Let's not waste any more time. Let's go. So anyway, how long have you been writing?
I've been actually, this is my 10th anniversary of publishing, I should say. I've been writing much longer than that. It took me about 8 years to finish my first publication. So it's been 18 years of writing and 10 years of publishing.
Okay, so what caused you to write that first book? 8 years is a long time to be involved with something like that.
Yeah, I was a stay-at-home mom and I was a little bored probably. But in the evening, instead of watching Netflix, I kind of got bored with shows. I decided to write a fictionalized account of my experience with anorexia. So my first book series, the Being Me book series, is that story of how I developed anorexia, some of what the backstory of what led up to that, and then my recovery. So the 4-book series covers a girl named Amanda from her freshman year in college to her senior year in college, and it shows how she became depressed and then eventually turned to an eating disorder and developed anorexia, but also shows the hope in her recovery in that period of time.
This was based on somebody you knew, you or someone else?
Yeah, so it's based on my experience, but I felt more comfortable writing as a fictionalized version of that. So I could make it a little bit more dramatic in some places.
Eating disorders are interesting because the cause is not always the same. It may be depression, it may be anxiety, it may be stress. I mean, just a lot of things cause it. And sometimes, and I'm sure you're probably, I'm going to say the expert here today. If I have an eating disorder, it's definitely to put a few pounds on extra rather than to keep them off. But however, I am right now, let's see, 11 a.m. I am 85 hours into a fast. And
Oh, wow.
I typically do a 72-hour fast every month. And occasionally I goes to 100, 120 hours, but it's something I've been doing for a long time. But for the last several months, I have not done it for other reasons. I came down with shingles and it just destroyed my life for about 5 or 6 months. That's me. Let's get back to you. So you were in college, you had anorexia, major life lesson. You want to share some of that experience with others?
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess before that point, I kind of had the view that if you had a problem or you were struggling, that you just kept it to yourself and you tried to get through it and work through it and soldier on. And that worked for me for a while, but then it stopped working for me and I became really depressed, but I still felt like I didn't have anyone to share it with or couldn't share it with anyone. So I kept it all bottled up inside. And then I decided what would fix me is if, I got more in shape and lost a couple pounds. And at first you get really good, I wasn't heavy by any means. And at first you get really good feedback from that. You get more attention, I got more dates, and it seemed wonderful until, 20 pounds later, I couldn't stop. I even wanting to make the choice to be healthy, I couldn't make my brain do that. I couldn't make myself eat a healthy meal or stay on a healthy diet. And in the end, I lost 40 pounds and nearly died from it. So it was a wake-up call for me, and a lesson in that, yes, humans do need to reach out. We do need each other. We do need to share our burdens, and we can help each other through that. And actually, you can connect better with other people if you're being real and authentic and not just pretending like everything is perfect in your life.
Okay, let me ask our production engineer to bring up your website, because I want people to see that book. That way they know where it's at. They can go get it. So if she has the ability to pull up triciacopeland.com here, we'll have that in just a moment. Did you find any other people, your friends, who were suffering the same kind of disease?
Not the same type of disease, but I was at a really high pressure school, and if the first book is This Me? So if you're scrolling down, I think it's near the bottom, but yeah, so I think we were all at a really high pressure school. And we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to make good grades and do well. And people dealt in their own ways. And it was just stressful to be in there it is. There's the first one. Is This Me? Is the first book in that series. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know any. After in recovery, I met a lot of people that were dealing with eating disorders, and that was a great help to be able to recover and heal with those people.
Okay, so the book is This Me? Tricia Copeland.
Correct.
It's on your website, triciacopeland.com. I'm sure they can probably find it other places too. But that covers a period of time that you were in college and for whatever reason came down with anorexia, and how you dealt with it, and the success story that came out of it at the end. So
Right.
for our listeners or our viewers today, great advice. Anytime you can get something from somebody who's lived through it and has the wherewithal to say, hey, let me write about it and tell the world. Whoops, get myself back up here again. So I think that's a wonderful place to start. Okay, so you wrote the book that was about you. Okay, now you're writing fantasy and romance. What shifted you into those lanes?
Well, I just realized that I loved writing, and my first love in reading is fantasy and witches, vampires, all of those characters. So when I thought about what projects I wanted to do next, it was obvious that I wanted to write something that I love reading my other stories too, and those fictional characters, but where my excitement lay was with the vampires and the witches and all things that go bump in the night.
Okay, so your passion is where you went, and that's where most success starts. Is that you have something
Right.
you love to do, and so it's not work. You enjoy the hours you're putting into it. So you wrote your first fantasy romance novel 10 years ago, 8 years, well, longer than that, but you started, okay, fine, I want to publish this. What was the impetus that says, I want to be a published author?
Well, it was mainly getting my story out and sharing that story of, because eating disorders are not well understood, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to the normal brain, like why someone would develop an eating disorder. So that was part of it for my first series, the Being Me series. And I had a friend who is an editor and a self-published author, and she read the books and she really liked them. And I had a couple of people read them and they really liked them. And so I made the choice to have her edit the books and then self-publish. And from there, it just launched that love of writing. So the next project was my Kingdom Journal series, which starts with the Kingdom of Embers, that follows a vampire witch hybrid and two other witches who have to come together to break a curse on the witch lines.
Okay, so you've read a lot. So some of the books you've read plant thoughts in your brain, and you say, well, what if? And then you kind of, well, maybe it's time that we explored what if. That is that kind of a fair way of stating that's why I wrote these books?
It is, yeah. And I like to explore different characters and their aspirations and their challenges and their motivations. So most of my books are character driven. I came up with this vampire witch hybrid, and actually thought it would be more of a vampire series, but it turned out being more of a witch series because I developed the idea for this curse, and the witches had to come together to break the curse. And then the main antagonist doesn't want them to break the curse because she wants to have all the power from the witch souls that are trapped in purgatory. So yeah, it ended up being more of a witchy spell curse series, but it turned out really fun. There's vampires and there's hybrids and there's werewolves and there's fairies.
Dr. Jacqueline, could you bring our website up one more time, and let's go ahead and take a look at the books in this series. Thank you. Okay, so this series starts with which ones?
Kingdom of Embers.
Kingdom of Embers, okay.
Right.
And how many
So
are in that particular series too?
that one's a complete series. It has 4 books in the series plus the prequel, so it's 5 books
Wow.
in total, I guess. And the prequel is my vampire novel. Finally, the main character's mother, she's half vampire, half witch, so her mother is a vampire, and it follows her mother from the 16th century until the year 2000 or 1999. So
Okay.
it follows her mother and her life, and then the main series is contemporary.
No, that was why don't we leave it before I get to the next question. The covers. Is This Me is a very startling cover with the eyes. Just
Right.
it's attracting but disturbing, I think, at the same time. Uh, why did you decide on that cover?
Because the character Amanda is really, she's going to college for the first time, and I think it's a critical time in people's lives when sometimes maybe they step out of their comfort zone and do things that maybe are out of character, and they're not really sure, oh, am I this person or am I this person, or and where do I fit, where do I belong, who do I want to be, all of those questions. And so those are the things she's struggling with, and I wanted it to be just very dramatic in how she was looking at her life, how she was questioning her life and her actions and her attitudes.
I think struggle is a very good word. I see that in the face.
Right.
Okay, the book covers on your other ones. There's a little continuity between that. So a very dark cover, is that part of that darkness of the writing?
It's not dark. I mean, it's a young adult book, so and there's some grisly scenes, but it's not very graphic. I guess it's dark in the fact that there's a curse on the witches, and their souls are trapped in purgatory after they die, and the main goal is to stop this from happening. And, but yeah, so I guess it has also some mystery to it too, because they have to figure out exactly what the curse is and how to break it, and um, involved in was this curse placed on them. And all of them are, Elena, the main character, she doesn't know who her father is. She's never met him. Her mother won't tell her who he is, so there's a mystery surrounding that. And they're all kind of, one of the witches doesn't even know he's a witch in the beginning, so they're all kind of discovering who they are and their purpose in life as well.
Okay, so Is This Me was a book that took 8 years to write?
Yes. Well, the first 2 books in that series, Is This Me and If I Could Fly, took that 8 years. And then I had 200,000 words in my manuscript, and my editor said, oh, we're gonna break this up to 2 books. So yes, that was the 8 years, and just writing maybe 30 minutes a night, 5 nights a week after my kids went to sleep.
Okay, so you wrote the book. How long did it take you to get it edited?
The editing process wasn't long. It takes me about 6 weeks for the editing process. I have 2 rounds with a main editor, and then the final round with a proofreader.
Okay, you use a developmental editor for keeping the characters and locations and time and all that coherent, and then a proofreader kind of line editor for all the rest of the grammar and diction and all the other things that are not involved in the plot.
Right. So, well, actually, they kind of both do both of those jobs. The initial editor, the main editor, who I guess I called them that, um, and they're with Indie Books Gone Wild, who I love them, so they're great. Yeah. So my first main editor will do the developmental stuff as well as grammar, and we do 2 passes with that. So she edits and she sends it back to me, and then I make the corrections that need to be made, and she looks at it again, and we have that same process. It comes back to me, and we decide, okay, it's good. But the proofreader is like just another set of eyes on a final proof, because when you're editing your own work, and even for the editor, if she's read it multiple times, you don't see things that are mistakes that need to be corrected. So the proofreader has the final, like, oh, but she does look for things in the story and inconsistencies too.
That is so true. You look at something long enough that you've written, you put stuff in where you know your brain put it, but it's not on the paper. So I've seen that too many times. Uh, what I would write a book. I will put it through the audio portion of Microsoft Word and have it read back to me, or even if I just do a blog. Do you use anything like that for your
I
own?
I don't. I probably should. And it was interesting when I was producing the audiobooks for the series, I did catch a few errors that, none of us had caught in, but listening to it, and I guess reviewing the audiobook for release, we did find some and go back and correct some errors in the books too.
Okay, so you get the editing done, the book is there, you get a cover, everything's ready to publish, you get it published. When did you start your marketing campaign on your first couple of books?
I started, well, I did a lot of research with how to market books, how to do releases. So I really was trying to start my platform before I released my book. So I got my website up, I got some social media accounts up, I started talking to advanced readers and giving my book to advanced readers so they could read and review before I released it. So all of those kind of set the platform for me being able to release the books and have a semi-successful release in the beginning. And you always start small, start somewhere. I went to my first book con, I guess, in Nashville in 2015, and I wasn't a signing author. I didn't have a table, but I was just meeting people, meeting bloggers, and I met so many bloggers that I still talk to today. So it's you kind of develop that community.
Patricia, when you're out there networking with people and you run into somebody that does this, that, and whatever, and you develop a relationship, uh, I'm sure there's some give and take on both ends. They'll tell you, hey, there's this thing over here or whatever, and you do the same thing. And so, were you aware of this? So that networking, I think, is so important for authors, especially new authors, because nobody knows who they are. Now, once you get a little bit of a reputation, some credibility, it seems like things changed overnight, but they really didn't. And so you're out there and you have product to sell, you have uh, people to meet, things to do, all that kind of stuff. And so I'm sure it started slowly at first, but was there one area that you say, I'll never do that again? And was another area you say, hey, if you're writing a book, you must do this. So let's look at both sides of success and failure, and be aware in about a minute or so we're going to have a quick break.
Okay, so I guess beware is just like research the people you're talking to, the events you're going to make sure they're quality events, they're put on by great people, and that you know that you're gonna have readers coming to them. That's the one thing to look for. And then one thing to definitely do as well is have your good editor, have your good proofreader, have your good cover person, so that you're getting a quality product out to the readers.
Do you do any giveaways as a speaker at an event?
I do. I usually do giveaways at every book signing I go to, and as well as I have Goodreads giveaways for new releases, and yeah, and on my newsletter list, I give special giveaways just for my newsletters too.
Okay, Tricia, hold on. We're going to take a quick break here on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. This is red-olaughlin on the Corner Bookstore.
Ever dreamed of hosting your own TV show, sharing your story with a global audience? Now's your chance to shine. At USA Global TV and Radio, we make it easy for you to create, host and broadcast your very own TV show. Whether you're a storyteller, entrepreneur or industry expert, we help you bring your vision to life. With our exclusive interview, live streaming and podcasting training, you'll gain the skills and confidence to captivate your audience. Our global platform ensures your voice is heard worldwide. Join our community of creators who are already making an impact, one show at a time. Step into the spotlight. Host your own TV show on USA Global TV and Radio. Book your discovery call today at usaglobaltv.com. Copyright 2025 USA Global TV and Radio. All rights reserved. Terms and conditions apply. To learn more, visit usaglobaltv.com.
Red-olaughlin here. We're back on the Corner Bookstore on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. And my guest today is Tricia Copeland. She is a young adult fantasy author and a new adult romance author. And I've always seen the young adult. Okay, fine. Now all of a sudden, when she put up her information, we're backstage. I was like, what is NA? I knew the A was adult. Is it new? And then she explains it. So give me a little bit of education, please, or clarification on YA and NA with regard to fantasy and romance and that genre.
Right. Yes, there is confusion a lot of times about different genres, and so you want the definition of the genre should come from the age of the protagonist, so the age of the main characters. So if your protagonist is younger than 18, and usually between 12 or 13 and 18, that's considered young adult. Below 12 or 13, you get into middle grade and early elementary books. But those are considered young adult too. They can be considered young adult because it's pre-adult, I guess. It should be pre-adult sometimes. But anyway, middle grade, and then you graduate to young adult at age 12, 13 to 18. And then new adult is usually age 18 to 25, 28, that range. And when you're hopefully launched into adulthood, maybe have your first job, finishing college, that stage of life.
That's kind of interesting because maybe the term teenager is not what they want out there in the world, but if they look at it as a new adult, okay, that kind of puts them in a different marketing genre because they're not thought of as being teenagers, but more in the adult realm, and they're identifying with the characters in your book. So you choose which area to kind of flop into, one, the younger age under 18 or the slightly older one. Do you have any intention of the old adult market for romance and stuff?
Not right now. But I'm never going to say never about anything because I never thought I'd write about a fairy, and I have a whole series on fairies now. So,
do you have any, I'm going to say dolls for lack of a better word, but merchandise that actually have your characters that somebody can hold up? Oh, this is so-and-so.
That would be great. I got character art for the first time, I guess the end of last year. I released it in December, I think. So I have an image of my fairy, Titania, now. So, and she is so beautiful. It's so cool. I was really excited to get that art, but I don't have her on a doll yet. So I have her on stickers, but I could work on that. She's not animated either yet. She's just a standstill image. So.
Okay, so you have more than just the book. You're branching out into other activities there that will help as things go by. So how did you
call them that? They're kind of like bonuses for my readers. I send them to my readers when they say, "Oh, I loved your book," and I'll send them a sticker.
Yeah. How did you find somebody to help you do that?
Well, I hired somebody to do the character art. So they were a graphics person. I'm not a graphics person. I can do Canva, but that's about it. So then I designed the stickers on Canva, and I used just found a sticker company to make some stickers, and I always do bookmarks for every book, so that's a lot of fun. I like doing trailer videos. Those are a lot of fun to do, and I can usually get those done myself. But yeah,
You do your own trailers?
I do my own trailer videos. They're very low tech. I mean, I find an image that looks cool, and I put the book blurb words with them, maybe with some music, and kind of flip the screens in and out, and that's about as techy as I get.
How long are your trailers?
Between some of them I do like short clips, less than a minute, and then some I'll do a little bit longer, 2 to 3 minutes.
And you use these as part of your marketing program, right?
Right. Yeah. So if you go to my website, you can see all my trailer videos, and my YouTube channel has them too.
Okay. YouTube channel is YouTube/Tricia Copeland.
Tricia Copeland, author. Yes.
Tricia Copeland, author. Okay, on YouTube.
Yes. Or yeah.
Okay. You mentioned audio a while ago. Why did you decide to go with audio?
I love audiobooks. I love listening to audiobooks, and I can read. Some people say this isn't reading, so it's a tight line to walk on. But I consider it reading. I can read a lot more books or listen to a lot more books than because I'm cleaning house or driving or doing those things. So, and I love my audiobook narrators. It was so fun, like being able to hear the story. Oh, there's my trailer. Yeah, To Be a Fey Rogue. That was my last release. So that
The
was a
reason
lot
I
of fun.
asked
Yeah.
the reason I asked is that if you have a young adult, new adult, their tendencies probably go more with the audio than with reading a book. I'm guessing, or they're going to
Maybe
at least
so.
the ebook rather than the, you know. My son was a big reader. I'm a big reader. My son was a big reader for years. And I think it was 2 Christmases ago. I sent him half a dozen books, and he says, "Dad, don't send me any more books. Send me the ebook."
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
if that and he's by no means anywhere near the young adult area. In fact, his daughter, our youngest, is in college now, so it kind of gives you an idea where things kind of fit in that age group. But the media that you're using has to be something that you're going to make a profit on. You get some royalties from, but also going to be what the reader wants, and that sometimes is hard to determine. So when you send out a blurb, not a blurb, you send out a trailer. Are you sending that out only in Instagram or Pinterest or Facebook, or where do you find your social media to get you the best response for those kind of video marketing?
Right. I do them on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and I do have a Pinterest page. I don't do as much on it. I do have a Twitter account as well. I guess X now, call it X. I do have, but I'm usually most active on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook.
Okay. AI, artificial intelligence. I'm assuming you don't use it at all, or if you do, it's so very minimal, it's a non-issue.
Yeah, the most I use AI is like the word prediction on Microsoft Word or my emails. I haven't used it for other things yet.
I just read yesterday, I'm sure it was last night maybe, that we can now, as authors, copyright our book if we use AI as the main portion of our writing, which I thought was pretty interesting because up to that point in time, they always thought that we were not plagiarizing, but it wasn't really our writing per se. But I use AI a lot for a lot of different things. Cover design for my clients. I'll create 4 or 5 covers myself, send them to my client. What do you want? And then I'll get the ones, 2 or 3 he likes. I'll send them to a designer, and then from that, the designer has extra information about what the end result should be. So I think from that perspective, it works out very well. If I want 20 things a fairy would do in New England in 1600, is that something that is valuable to me? I don't know, because that's not the genre I write in. But when I want to know something about my specialty, sometimes I'll go to AI and ask it, give me 20 things about this. And okay, no, okay. Oh, wow. Sometimes there are things, and then I take that and then do my research on it to write it up. So I don't use the AI. Now, I learned my lesson very well editing with AI. Do not hit edit and put in your stuff, because edit means to them take 20 pages down to 2 paragraphs. Yeah, Yeah, that was a big shock to me when that happened. So there, I have a little blurb now. It's about 3 sentences that I put in, and I put my chapter in there, and basically it edits at a seventh grade level for whatever I want, but it doesn't lose everything. And that was something I really learned from AI. Is it's a great tool, but it's a tool, and you have to learn how to ask for what you want, and then look at what you have and see, does that match what you really need? And sometimes that's not always the case. So, what little tricks of the trade have you learned as an author that could help other new authors get their first book written?
Um, let's see. I think it's just about finding what works for you. Like for me, if I write every day, then it keeps the book front of mind for me. So if I'm driving or if I'm doing a chore, then I'm thinking about my characters. Maybe I'm thinking about what I just wrote, and was that appropriate? Was it the right thing for the plot line? Was it right thing for the characters? And then I'm thinking, okay, if I need to go back to change something, or am I thinking ahead in the story, like what's the next thing that moves this plot along? What challenges can I put in front of my characters? So just for me, I always keep those top of mind. It's easier if I write every day. I have started outlining, which some people are big outliners, do it before they write. I don't do it before I start writing, but now I've started doing chapter outlines after I finish writing sections, so that it makes it easier. If I take some time away, I can come back and say, oh, where am I? What was going on? And that was really good for my editor too. So moving forward, I will do that, especially for book series. You want to remember, I've talked to some authors who have done like extensive spreadsheets, like every single scene goes in a spreadsheet with what character, what happened, and so they can keep track of it. But that was an author that produces one book a month, and she has 8 editors. And so, I mean, obviously, all of that has to be really tight, and you don't want to lose or miss something. So, yeah, just find your system and what works for you. And that's really different for every author, I think.
Okay, so we start out as an amateur. We're writing. We convert over to being an author. Then we convert into being a published author, but we're still an amateur. And
I guess you could be. I mean,
but if you're writing a book a month and you have 8 editors, you're professional.
yes.
Your full-time job is getting that next book done and out the door, and doing whatever else you have to do to market it. So there's a transition that happens as part of the business expansion of Tricia Copeland Intergalactic Enterprises, and so you change over to becoming an entrepreneur in addition to becoming an author. Is that something you also studied, or does that come naturally, or is that something you rely on a mentor for, or how do you become a successful author?
I research anytime I don't know something, I just research it. So I've taken a lot of social media marketing classes. I've taken business classes. I've taken writing classes. Writing was not my background. I was in science. So I was a scientific researcher, and I could do technical writing, but I had to learn more tips on plot, creative writing, characters, how to do a plot arc, how to do character arcs. So those are things that I've learned along the way. And I think part of it's just doing what you love. So if you love something, I want to be good at it too. I want to do a quality product for my readers. So it's interesting right now. I just started a screenwriting class, and I'm trying to convert my books to screenplays. And it's such a different beast. And I look back and I say, oh, I could have changed this, and I could have made this tighter, and I could have made the plot line a little bit. I mean, you always look back and there's always going to be changes, but it's fun to elevate my craft by learning different types of writing too.
It's interesting. I had a series on documentary on the movie The Godfather, and they had the author, successful book. They wanted the movie, but they did not have a screenwriter. So they hired the author, and it turned out to be almost a mistake, because the author knows the book, knows that, but he doesn't understand the production end of things. And it's a major mental shift from writing, and now all of a sudden you have to be aware of what is the viewer seeing or hearing, and it's a different world than just writing. And I wasn't aware of that until I watched that movie, and he eventually became a decent screenwriter, but it wasn't something that was natural that you would kind of expect. And it's kind of like recording my own audiobook. Well, if I'm the only person in there, that's fine. And maybe people want to hear my voice as opposed to something else. But it's a choice that the author has to make. Do I want an audiobook? Do I want the screen part of this? And it sounds like you, with your video trailers, have an advantage because you're already thinking in that realm of what's next that the viewer really needs to see, so you hook them enough for them that they want to know more information or get your book. So do you think that the video trailers is helping you with your screenwriting?
I don't think so, because the video trailers were really just kind of a different way to get out the same content that I'd already written. Like a lot of them were taken from the blurbs on the back of my book. So, but yeah, it's a whole different thing to think about writing a screenplay and having it as a movie, because you can't tell the watchers or the viewers anything. They have to see it or they have to hear it. So one of the characters has to speak it or they have to see it some way. Unless you have really a narrator telling, but then that's just like a book, right? It's just like an audiobook. So yeah, even like I see why so many movies are so different from the book series. Even writing my own screenplay, it's going to be vastly different from what it looked like in the novel, because in the novel I held a lot of secrets back and you learned about the world slowly as you went on. And in 2 or 3 hours, you can't do that. You need to tell them about the world at the very beginning. Hey, this person can do magic. This person is a vampire. We need to know that up front, or you're not going to understand all the little cues that are coming in. So yeah, it's going to be a vastly different not vastly different. It's the same major story, but it does have to be reworked.
Yeah. You read the book, you see the movie, and why didn't they have this other part? I mean, the parts that we consider important aren't even in the movie. I've only seen one book that covers the movie almost page by page, and that's The Right Stuff, about the American, Mercury 7 astronauts. It's amazing how close that just goes right, almost line by line down the book. I was just amazed that it's a very short book. The movie's not very long, but it's very well done. But we're getting to the end of our time today here on the Corner Bookstore, Tricia. How do people get your books? What do you recommend? Say, hey, go to my website. Go to where do you want people to buy your books at?
Well, you can find all the links on my website, but they are all on Amazon, and most of them are on Kindle Unlimited. The Kingdom Journals, as well as the Realm Chronicles series, is in audiobooks, so you can find those on Audible, Barnes and Noble, Apple, and Google. I think on Google Play too. So yeah, everywhere you like to buy books, they're there.
Okay, you have any book signings or any events coming up?
I do. I'm going to Roanoke for Authors Rock Roanoke. I think. Why am I? It used to be Roanoke Author Invasion. Now it's Authors Rock Roanoke. I think Roanoke, Virginia, April 5th, Saturday, April 5th. I will be in Colorado Springs. On Sunday, April 27th, I'm going to Salt Lake City, Utah in January for readers in this city. And I don't have the rest of my year planned, but those are for the next couple of months at least.
Oh, fantastic. I'm super glad to hear that you have that level of activity. So I wish you the absolute best. And please join us again down the road here on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. There are a lot of different shows that are available that I think you would fit into very, very nicely. So with that, I'm going to bid you adieu and let our audience know what's coming up here shortly. Thank you, Tricia. I really enjoyed our time today. Next on the Wise Ones in about 20 minutes, I have Mike Coas. He's a local lawyer here in the Houston area where I live. I've known him for a number of years. He's an author, very successful author. And so from a business perspective as an author, I thought he would be a great person to have on the show as an entrepreneur. So we're going to talk with Mike about that. He also has some other interesting things on dirt bike and other things he does with his kids. So immediately following the Wise Ones, my show called Talking Heads is one that I do myself where I talk about a particular topic. A couple of months ago, I changed it over to be, what would I do? And that what would I do I pick a topic like cancer or something. Well, today we're talking about nutrition. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and conclude today's show on the Corner Bookstore on the USA Global TV and Radio Network, and see you all next week. Take care. Bye now.
In a world full of noise, misunderstandings, and interruptions, master the art of listening with Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck is the listening mentor of USA Global TV and Radio and the Amazon #1 best-selling author of Mastering the Power of Elevated Listening. Elevate your listening. Elevate your life. Join a global learning experience in person or via Zoom. Reserve your spot today. usaglobaltv.com/book-your-session or drjacqueline.thinkific.com. Join Dr. Kerbeck's listening courses or hire her to unlock deeper connections and authentic conversations. Have you ever felt unheard? Like your words float into a void, leaving you invisible and disconnected? How about feeling judged, when assumptions overshadow your truth, leaving you misunderstood and defensive? And then there's that moment when someone offers solutions you never asked for, dismissing your feelings and leaving you more frustrated than before. It doesn't have to be this way. Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, the listening mentor, understands. She's here to help you reclaim your voice, build stronger connections, and create meaningful conversations that inspire understanding and mutual respect. Through her groundbreaking books, online and in-person courses, and interactive workshops, you'll learn how to navigate life's most challenging interactions. Discover the power of elevated listening and transform how you communicate. Master setting boundaries and asking permission to protect your peace. Learn to recognize and release judgment, fostering empathy and true connection. Dr. Kerbeck also offers personalized coaching, one-on-one or group sessions designed to fit your unique needs. Whether in person or virtually on StreamYard, her guidance will empower you to thrive. You don't have to struggle alone. The path to deeper connections and better relationships start here. Visit drjacqueline.com or usaglobaltv.com. Join a global community of empowered listeners and transform your life, one meaningful conversation at a time. Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck is the listening mentor. Start your journey today. Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honored to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.